How will you make them better? Because that is the goal. The goal is I don't want to just talk about myself and, hey, I want you to give me a pat on the back. No, people hire people who can make them better. Welcome back to the Sandy Adams Show. This is where I talk about business life and everything in between. Today, I'm going to be talking about LinkedIn, specifically your About section on your profile. The About section is where you pitch future bosses, future clients, everybody. You want it to be both impactful and engaging. What I see so often, or many times, is that people don't know what to put there. It's very ambiguous. There is no, with the experience section, you put your jobs there. But with the About section, what do you write? And oftentimes when people are unsure what to write, they just don't write anything. Or the worst thing that they do is they copy their resume and just post it into the About section. There is a limit on characters though there. So we want to think about the About section as more than just a summary of your resume. In fact, it should not be a summary of your resume. It is a space to showcase your personality, your achievements, and your career accomplishments, and your aspirations. Remember, LinkedIn is about where you want to go. Your resume is about where you've been. This About section is the first place that recruiters and potential employers, potential clients, whoever, are going to look to get a sense of who you are professionally. Think of it as your personal billboard. You want to grab attention and leave a lasting impression, but you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to cram so much in there that people don't exactly know what the top things are that they should get from you, right? So let's dive into my top 3 tips. I'll give you a list of those, and then we'll dive into each one of those in more detail. So tip number 1, show your value. Tip number 2, be authentic. And that includes, I'll get into that, but writing in first person and not in third person. And tip number 3, call to action. Okay, so let's dive into tip number 1, show your value. First and foremost, you want to highlight your key achievements and the impact that you've made in those roles. This is where you can brag. I know it's a dirty word. People cringe. I don't want to brag. I don't want to tell anybody anything. I wanted them to kind of find out, but if you don't tell them, they can't find out. So you want to make sure it's relevant and it's quantifiable. What does that mean? Numbers are great if you've got numbers and you can add those. Not every accomplishment will have some type of value or can be quantified. So for instance, if you're a comptroller, you might say something like, in my role at XYZ Corporation, I led a team to streamline financial reporting processes. This resulted in a 20% increase in accuracy and a 15% reduction in turnaround time. These improvements not only boosted our efficiency, but also provided clear insights for strategic decision making. I know that sounds really fancy, doesn't it? When you look at your career so far, you always want to keep track of your accomplishments. Now, the accomplishments may not always be huge things like a 20% increase in accuracy. You want to look and expand. You're not going to be putting a list of 15 key achievements. You want to keep it at 3, the most impactful ones, the ones that most show or highlight your strengths, right? Okay, so remember, you want to show your value. Anytime, I was just talking with a young girl today, she's in college, she's a junior, and I said, the one thing that you have to think about is when you are talking with a future employer, whether you're talking with a client, this can be anything. You always want to show your value. How will you make them better? Because that is the goal. The goal is I don't want to just talk about myself and, hey, I want you to give me a pat on the back. No, people hire people who can make them better, right? You hire a comptroller because they're really good at their job and they can keep your books in order, okay? You don't hire them simply because they're a comptroller and they're just going to do their duties and nothing else. You hire a photographer because they're going to make you look good, not because they need the job, or, they know how to use a camera. You're hiring people because they have something that will help you succeed in whatever area it is that you need to succeed in. Employers hire people that are going to make their company better. Now, let's go into tip number 2. Be authentic, right? Being authentic, sharing your story and what drives you. People connect with stories, not just statistics. So you want to talk about your passion for your field and what motivates you to get up every day and go to work. This is something that I have seen people struggle with. Whenever I am coaching somebody, whenever I'm teaching workshops, I always ask, when people go around and they're talking about, what it is they do, I often ask them, why did you get into that profession? Okay. And they'll start off with, well, that was the job, or that was my major in college. Well, why did you major in that? Well, it seemed to be the best solution. I was interested in business. Okay, but let's go back to the beginning. What did you want to be when you grew up? People are like, that was irrelevant. That was then, this is now. People want to know your origin stories. They want to know why you do what you do. Now, there's always going to be a why. It may not be fancy, it may not be heartfelt, or it may not make people cry, but people want to know why you got into the profession you got into. That type of passion and why you do what you do, it creates a sense of identity. It helps people understand you better, and it's going to connect you with whoever you're talking to. Remember, stories get attention. Stories drive the narrative. You don't have to be some incredible storyteller, right? You just have to get it out there and be as authentic as possible. There are times my words get twisted. There are times that I don't necessarily say the right things, or I lose my train of thought. But my passion is there. My authenticity is there, right? I hope it is. So if we're continuing with our comptroller example, this is how I would word it. I've always been fascinated by the power of numbers to tell a story and guide a company's future. My passion lies in transforming financial processes to empower strategic decisions. Over my 15-year career, I've dedicated myself to finding innovative solutions to financial challenges. Wow. Okay. That gives people insight into why it is that you chose what you do. I mean, half the time people are wondering, do you even like your job that you've been doing, right? Especially if you've come from a job that you did not enjoy. Typically, it's going to be the boss or the leadership over you that causes that unhappiness. Okay, now, tip number 3, the call to action. What are you talking about, right? We want to end your about section with some type of call to action. This is going to encourage connections or messages from those interested in your skills or what you have to offer. This makes your profile more attractive and opens the door for opportunities. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you're out there going, I don't understand why I have to put a call to action there. Why can't they just go up there and hit the message button? Why can't they just go up to my contact information? And I say this because my dear, dear friend, Michelle, who I use as an example so often, she argued with me about this. I said, at the bottom of your about section, put in how they can contact you. Either your email, your phone number, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with, put it there. And she's like, I don't understand why. It's up at the top. And I said, but it's easier if it's right there. When they get to the end of your about section, they read it, they can take action right then. And she's like, well, that's just them being lazy. No, it's not. You want to see, I'm already getting on my soapbox. You want to take every opportunity that you can to make it as easy as possible for someone to contact you. Yes. I was actually I was at my computer one evening and I was working on it, and I had my LinkedIn page up, okay? I immediately got a message on my LinkedIn profile, and then immediately my phone rang, and I'm like, who is this calling me? The gentleman was looking for a social media branding strategist, which was me. And he had read my profile. It had popped up because we had mutual people in common. And he'd read my about section. And at the bottom, I had how he can contact me. And he immediately took action from my call to action at the bottom of my about section. Okay, so if we're using the comptroller profile again, so this is what you might say. I'm always open to connecting with professionals who share a passion for financial excellence. Whether you're looking to optimize your budget allocations or implement robust financial controls, let's connect and explore how we can achieve great things together. My email is, I can be contacted via email or through LinkedIn Messenger. Now, they wrote a little extra. They wrote specific things about what you could hire them for or what they were interested in being hired for. You don't have to be that fancy. You can simply say, if you're looking to connect with me and explore future opportunities, you can contact me via email or through the LinkedIn Messenger and put your email there if you're comfortable with it, okay? So it's that simple. Now, let's put it all together into a cohesive about section using the comptroller position, right? So I'm going to read this. As a seasoned comptroller with over 15 years of experience, I have consistently driven financial performance and efficiency. At XYZ Corporation, I led a team to streamline financial reporting, resulting in a 20% increase in accuracy and a 15% reduction in turnaround time. My passion lies in transforming financial processes to empower strategic decisions. Bullet point number 1, increased reporting accuracy by 20%. Bullet point number 2, reduced turnaround time by 15%. Bullet point number 3, I'm an expert in optimizing budget allocations and implementing robust financial controls. I believe in the power of numbers to tell a story and guide a company's future, whether it's through optimizing budget allocations or implementing robust financial controls. My goal is to add value and support sustainable growth. I'm always open to connecting with professionals who share a passion for financial excellence. Let's connect and explore how we can achieve great things together. You can connect with me via email at ... or through the LinkedIn messaging system. Now, see how that sounded great? It's a huge billboard. It's simple. You're just focusing on those 3 strengths, okay? Now, let's do a quick recap. Tip number 1, show your value. Tip number 2, be authentic and write in first person. Tip number 3, the call to action. You want people to connect with you. You want people to know that you want to do business with them, or you want to be hired by them, or you want to explore some opportunity with them, right? By following these tips, you can transform that about section from a static, non-existent, or dry paragraph to a dynamic narrative that attracts opportunities and connections. And the biggest thing is it provides people the opportunity to see what you want to explore, right? So often I see people, or I read profiles where people are just like, I hear people say, I hope that they look at my profile and see what I can do for them. Sometimes you have to lead a horse to water. You have to show them the water, right? Remember, your LinkedIn profile is often your first impression, and we want to make it count. Now, before you move on to your next task, I want you to take 5 minutes to review your LinkedIn About section. I want you to identify one key achievement to highlight, add a personal touch about what drives you, and include a call to action. Now, if you want to do super max, then go back and add 3 key achievements. But let's start off. If you're having a difficult time, just start with 1 key achievement, okay? Small steps lead to big changes. I want you to remember that. Small steps lead to big changes. I would love to cheer you on as you navigate your career journey. If you found these tips helpful, be sure to subscribe and share this podcast with others looking to enhance their LinkedIn presence. Send me a DM. Let me know your most recent success on the LinkedIn platform. Yes, I said send me a DM. I want to connect with you and I want to know you're listening to the show because it's an honor to create and produce the Sandy Adams Show. If you've been listening for a while, it would mean nothing more than for you to please review the show. I never stopped asking for those because if you haven't given one, then this message is just for you. And again, thank you for listening to the Sandy Adams Show.